right, we'll now call to order the Monday, October 20th, 2025 meeting of the City of Hayden Planning and Zoning Commission. Before we get going, I'll give everybody a quick update. It's 1-0 in the bottom of the first for the Mariners, so. Call to order.
Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Morris,
Here.
Commissioner Erickson,
Here.
and Commissioner Johnson is absent. We do have a quorum.
Okay. We'll have the, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions or corrections for the agenda this evening?
Yes, the Sycamore Valley public hearing, the applicant has requested that to be pulled from tonight's agenda.
That's why I think we have a lot of people here, yeah. Okay, so that is scheduled to be second on our agenda tonight, so we do have a hearing or a review of the comprehensive plan update, so if you'd like to stay for that, you're welcome to. But if you're here for the Sycamore Valley or Sycamore Estates, sounds like that's been.
Pulled.
The
pulled from-
applicant pulled it
The
this morning.
applicant pulled it, okay.
And when it comes back before you, it'll be renoticed and everybody will get a new notice that says that it's coming back on a planning and zoning when it's ready.
So would that be like a 30-day minimum delay, or is it, how long is the notification period?
It all depends on what meeting they decide to hit.
Okay,
So we just won't know until they
won't know until they bring
decide
it
they're
back.
ready.
Okay,
Was there any reasoning given?
We can only tell you that they pulled it.
Got it, okay.
okay.
May I ask a question? So we can all be assured that will be noticed?
It has to be re-noticed.
Just
yes.
like it's a brand new
And
hearing.
so the big signs that are.
They'll be
they'll
reposted.
come down,
Yep, and go
then
back
they'll
up.
be reposted.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep, yep.
thank you.
Okay, sorry, folks.
So if people don't want to stay, you might want to take a 3-minute recess and give
Yeah.
them time to,
Yeah, if you guys want
If they
to,
wanna
if you
stay.
don't want to stay, you don't have to, but if you'd like to stay and watch the, watch us in action.
They canceled the hearing on the subdivision.
The,
They postponed the hearing on the subdivision. Yes, yeah, apparently the applicant pulled it. Go, they'll give you the details, they'll renotice.
Public
and then-
hearing for the subdivision on
Not today,
Miles
not on
and Maple
tonight's
has been pulled. The applicant pulled that request for tonight. So
Sure can. You can have two if you want.
if it is to come back
Okay,
before the planning and zoning commission.
Your call.
Then everybody will be re-noticed and new signs will go
The
up.
next time that you come, we have these headphones that you can put on, like connect to this, and it connects to the microphone. So anybody wants to just come up and ask the hearing.
There'll be a whole nother notice, yeah,
So what you said is somebody withdrew,
the developers
decided not to do it?
tonight.
Oh, he withdrew from tonight's hearing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody. I really, really appreciate it.
enjoy the wine. Sorry about that.
Our biggest concern is that intersection for me, that Miles and Government Way.
Right.
Just in case anybody wants to know.
Yeah, no, understandable.
I think that's, yeah, because that'll be
It'll
a,
be affected directly by it, but that Miles.
Gotcha, yeah. Thank you.
I think the URD is supposed to put a light.
How are you?
On the way, yeah, yeah. Urban Renewal District's supposed to, I think,
Put a what there?
a light there. That's why we expanded the section. Expanded. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Seven, speaking for a group, so. Yeah. Donna, do we want to keep these, or?
I think just shred them.
Yeah. Okay. Donna, would you like to start on the 2040 comprehensive plan
Do
update?
you want to do the consent calendar first?
Oh, sorry. Consent calendar. Approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, regular minutes from October 6th, 2025. Any discussion?
No, I found out nothing was discussed after I hung up, so, yeah. Okay, everything's good on my end.
All right, we have a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from October 6, 2025.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Good. Donna?
Aye. So tonight, we're here to have a public hearing for the updates to the 2040 comprehensive plan. So this is a 2045 comp plan update. Kind of moved everything by 5 years. So why is a comprehensive plan update needed? Well, the existing comprehensive plan was last updated in 2020. The comprehensive plan guides land use and community vision. The plan is a generalized, comprehensive, long range, but it's not stagnant, so you don't just approve one and then never look back at it. And it's not a zoning ordinance. And having a comprehensive plan is a requirement of the state of Idaho. So Idaho state law in the 2020 plan had 17 areas that you had to address in your comprehensive plan, unless there were specific reasons why you didn't address them. And since then, they added an 18th category called groundwater. That's why it's down here in red. And you'll notice that that's an area that we had already been addressing in our previous comprehensive plan, so it was not a big deal to us because we'd already had that in there. So how does the city use a comprehensive plan? Well, Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council use it to guide land use decisions related to code text amendments or conditional use permits or long-range planning when we're looking at our other plans like sewer and transportation, parks, and other municipal services. It also impacts zone code and zone map amendments. So we're going to walk through your comprehensive plan. You guys have them all, the clean copies in paper. And we're just going to kind of walk through the chapters and the appendices from a 50,000 foot level bit. So chapter 1 kind of lays the stage. It gives you the introduction and the vision. And the vision is that Hayden is a well-managed Idaho town that prioritizes responsible growth and mature infrastructure planning practices to provide a variety of housing options, to encourage small business development, and to protect its natural resources. So how is this vision similar to the last vision? Well, they both talked about preservation of open space, and they kind of worked on efficient roadway systems, and they both encouraged a small business culture. Both talk about protection of natural resources, but the differences are that in this plan, we're going to give better tools for defining the types of future land uses and where we wanted them to be. The updates are on completed projects and future projects, and they both talk about managing growth, but we're talking about managing responsible growth. And most of that management of responsible growth came right out of this Hayden City survey in the results of the 3 top priorities that those citizens, those 1,200 responses that we received, they talk about managing growth. So of those 1,200 responses, they had a broad age and a broad geographic representation, and that kind of really kick-started this update of the comprehensive plan. Then we had workshops regarding possible amendments to the comprehensive plan with Planning and Zoning and or City Council in September, October, November, and December of 2023. We had an open house with members of the public and the Planning and Zoning Commission on the vision, goals, and policies in the spring of 2024. We then contacted SCJ Alliance and we had them review the proposed changes that we had come up with from the vision, goals, and policies, and they kind of looked at those with respect to Idaho state statutes and made sure that we were pretty much aligned with those 18 areas that we had to cover and make sure we weren't kind of going down this rabbit hole when we really should have been going over here. And that happened through July and September of 2024, and then back again in February of 2025. We contacted them again and worked with them on updating the rest of the comprehensive plan with some red line revisions in the spring of 2025, and then effectively kind of got to the future land use map and coughed a bit, and couldn't quite finish the land use chapter. And so city staff, and then we actually sent the draft out again for another third-party, review of it to make sure that we weren't, again, going sideways. And that is the plan that we brought back before the commission at the last meeting. We were kind of walking through, and we updated those numbers we weren't quite finished with at the last meeting in the copy that was noticed to the public. That's what we're here tonight to talk about. So lots and lots of public involvement pieces. Chapter 2 is kind of that policy framework. Talks about the goals, the policies, and a little bit about the actions. The actions aren't in chapter 2, they're in the appendice under appendix A. So goals are, again, broad statements that indicate a general purpose. They kind of give a direction of where you're going, vision, goals, policies. They're an abstract, they're not generally quantifiable, they're not generally time dependent, but they are suggestive of what you kind of need to get to doing in order to get to the goal. And policies are statements that provide the guidelines to get to the decision making. They indicate that clear commitment of the Hayden City Council, they reflect a topic, and they kind of indicate how the city will respond. And again, those actions, which you'll see in the appendix, there's 27 actions that were identified, are how we're gonna get part of that work done. So in chapter 2, we kind of broke those chapter listings down into various types. So land use, natural resources, hazardous areas, park and rec, transportation, public facilities, utilities and infrastructure, housing, community design, implementation, economic development, central business district. Those are kind of elements, and they have those abbreviations, and you'll see these abbreviations throughout the goals, policies, and the actions. They're all tied together to those elements. The goals are tied to policies, and if you were looking at policies, you'd see those tied back to goals. So everything is tied back and forth to each other. And then in chapter 3, we go to demographics. So this chapter, if you looked at the red lines, was a sea of red because of all of the changes in all of the demographics. What was kind of interesting is that the age demographic shows that the city of Hayden's median age range is actually getting older. So from 5 years ago, when it was about 40 years old, to today, it's got a median average of 43 years old. Or if you looked at the population projections in the previous plan, you'd be just about 9,000 people more than you are in the projections here for 2040 at 25,832. That's about 9,000 people less than what was in the last plan. Better reflection of growth in the area.
It's about 9,000 less.
Just about 9,000 less. The population, it gives you the educational attainments. Those are very, very similar to what they were previously. Whoops. With folks and how they are graduating or how they aren't graduating. Higher education. Some other demographics, if you look at the employment status and the economic indicators, what I found the most interesting about this is this median household income of Hayden is just about $20,000 more than it was 5 years ago. So the findings show that Hayden's population is expected to have steady growth. The last findings in the last plan expected it to have a double growth. We don't show that we're gonna double anything, but it is a nice steady growth. Hayden trends toward older adults who have an above average income, reflecting Hayden's appeal as a desirable place to live, work, and retire. similar to Kootenai County with regard to race, ethnicity, education levels, and employment industries. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is that land use chapter. It's one of the last chapters that were written, and mostly because we had to get those land uses nailed out in the last workshops. The Planning and Zoning and City Council came down with 5 land uses. Those are general commercial, pretty much everything that is a retail or service-oriented activity. Any storage or manufacturing or processing has to be directly related to the on-site retail or professional. So it's really a retail professional services kind of district. Light industrial allows for most types of manufacturing and wholesale business activities, kind of light assemblage, distribution, fabrication, manufacturing, processing, and warehousing. But again, it's light industrial, not that heavy industrial component. Mixed commercial is a combination of uses, 2 or more uses, typically a combination of residential units, commercial and or retail space. Again, those mixed commercial buildings typically include a residential section and commercial spaces that face the street and other public areas. And then there's the public recreation area. That's really about public recreational land uses that allow for city-owned land, public and or private recreational land, and land preserved as open space. The city-owned land could be parks, parking areas, recreation centers, transportation facilities, and utilities. Recreation land can include both leisure and outdoor activities, nature trails, parks, playgrounds, sports fields, all of those rec activities. Open space is preserved for aesthetics, environmental or conservation purposes such as parks, greenways, and natural areas. And then residential is just that. Residential is a land use that allows for lots of varying sizes designed for people to live. Housing design may vary between and throughout the city and residential areas. So where do these land uses belong and what to consider? It was a workshop that we had, and this is Council President Roeder, this is Council Member Schaefer, and this is our Chair Sean Taylor from the Planning and Zoning Commission, all kind of drawing up on a board, trying to figure out where to put land uses. And things to consider are parks, what's going on in our downtown area, the transportation corridors, airport and the airport runway protection zones, undeveloped areas, both in our area of impact or inside the city limits, where the school's located, and where the public facilities at. So what are those biggest changes that we came up with for our future land use map shown here is that the residential encompasses all lot sizes. So that would be ag or rural or residential suburban or mixed residential or single family residential. Those are all those residential uses that are zone designations, but they're still all residential uses. That's all the yellow. Mixed commercial is, again, that mixture of uses that is in the orange areas that you kind of see here, down here. See a little bitty patch of it up there. It's mixed commercial, those mixtures of uses. And then those known or anticipated recreation areas and publicly owned lands, that's everywhere that's this bright green color. It's up here, over there. There are a bunch of parks. This has got a conservation easement on it. Parks, City Park, Stoddard, Broadmoor, and future anticipated parks, as well as that public utility that's actually in our area of impact. And then so is this park right here. It's in our area of impact as well. And then this map reflects the area of impact that we proposed to Kootenai County to become our area of impact. So it's actually smaller than our previous area of impact because it shrunk the area that was out here, and it shrunk all of these already constructed homes that are out here. Questions?
What would be the reasoning to shrink those homes that are in the southeast corner that are already developed?
Not a lot of reason to annex. They've already got all of their services. Their streets are maintained by others, their sewer is not through the city.
Got it.
And you have to be contiguous to the border of the city in order to annex. And so they'd have to have, you know, the guy next to them.
Yeah.
And it's not likely.
Okay.
And I would add to that, the case law says you can't have a shoestring annexation, so they can't just go get an easement across 6 lands in order to say I created contiguity with the city. So
Got it.
it has to be actually next to.
Okay.
So in the land use chapter, in chapter 4, we also talk about special use areas. Those are kind of neighborhood commercial areas is one of the things we talk about, which is a limited subset of our commercial businesses. They're usually placed in predominantly residential areas, like you're gonna go down to the corner store and get a whatever, that's kind of the thought. Or you're gonna run down to the corner restaurant, get whatever, you know, kind of those kinds of things. So it's a pedestrian, kind of central location you can walk down to and utilize this commercial establishment. It's really maintaining the building topology so that you're not, you know, sticking out like a sore thumb, but you look like you're part of the rest of the fabric of the residential neighborhood. And it requires a conditional use permit to allow for it to go in, plus some additional design standards. And then there's the central business area, which is virtually one lot deep on either side of Government Way, from just about Senta north to just about Dakota. It's kind of shown in a map here, and it's also shown in Appendix B in the map section of the comprehensive plan. It's really the downtown Main Street of the city, and it allows for a mixture of residential and commercial uses, and it has design standards that promote pedestrian first. In the land use chapter, we talk about the Coeur d'Alene Airport. The city pretty much almost surrounds the whole Coeur d'Alene Airport, so it would be remiss if we didn't really look at the airport and how it affects us and how we affect it. So there are safety compatibility zones, and as you notice, I'm going to back up to this map, you'll notice that this is orange. On either side of this airport runway protection zone, the area underneath it is only commercial. So you couldn't put higher density residential in order to not be in an area that was be a conflict between the city and the airport. Reduce those conflict points. The same would go down here as well. The sound contours are shown on here. In the dashed lines, this map you can actually get off of the Kootenai County website. If you go to that KC Earth map, you can actually turn on the airport layers, and you can see most of these layers on there as well. So again, so how is the city addressing growth? So we work hard at maintaining neighborhood integrity and character in our zone map amendments. It talks about how is this proposed change affect the neighborhood context? Does it fit with the neighborhood context? Transportation improvements are in process through the transportation plan and the city's capital improvement plan and impact fees as well. To relieve impacts of increasing population of people moving to and through the city. Provide quality housing options for current and future residents for a range of both income levels and lot sizes from rural to central business district, kind of full spectrum, ends of the spectrum. Maintain open space and provide access to parks for all current and future Hayden residents. Coordinate the timely development of efficient, effective, and environmental sound, sewer, water, and other utility infrastructure, servicing the community and future residents. And growth should be accompanied by that development of infrastructure or public services, utilities, and preservation of open space and rec facilities within the city's means. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is another very interesting demographic chapter as far as giving a lot of statistics in it. It's a little jaw-dropping. If you look at some of these numbers, I kind of went back and double-checked to make sure I wasn't like, whoof. But the median house price increased 142% from 2013 to 2023 in the city of Hayden. the median rent prices increased 78% between 2013 and 2023. So a quarter of the homeowners and nearly half of the renters are what we consider to be cost burdened with the price of housing. They spend more than 30% of their household income on housing. Hayden has a really low vacancy rate, 0.4, so it's like in the gutter as far as vacancy rate goes, which is got its pluses and minuses with that. 78.4% of housing in Hayden is single-family detached housing, and 21% of the homes in Hayden are renter occupied. So a fifth of the city has renters in it. So when you look at a fifth of the city with the renters in it, and you look at the statistics, the two cities that we kind of looked at being comparable to us in size and kind of typical, very similar behavior, were Garden City and Mountain Home. Kootenai County is a representative of, comparables when you're looking at how do you compare to the county, and then how do you compare to the state of Idaho. The city of Hayden has the highest rent of all five of the two cities, the county, those other four entities. We have the highest rent out there at $1,676 in 2023 dollars. So we're 2 years past that today. Chapter 6, living and natural environment. So in this chapter, we really focus on many parts of our environment and our natural resources section. We talk about the groundwater and we talk about aquifer. It would be horribly remiss if we didn't talk about the aquifer that we sit upon. We talk about surface water with Hayden Lake. Talk about air and water quality. Talk about hazardous areas, and this is a critical natural areas map that was created with the original comprehensive plan of 2020. It was produced as part of the all hazard mitigation plan as part of that was adopted in Kootenai County at that point in time, and they did not recreate this map as part of the update. So it's still a really good representation. Most things haven't changed in 5 years, so we left this map in here. But it identifies kind of wildfire, floods, steep slope areas, toxic sites, we need to be environmental students, and we need to protect our natural resources. That's all happening in this chapter, chapter 6. It also talks about emergency preparedness in this chapter, as it addresses us being a part of the all hazard or the Kootenai County emergency planning for any kind of a natural emergency or if any emergency hit. Chapter 7 is our transportation chapter. Chapter 7 points right back to the Imagine Hayden 2040 transportation strategic plan. It's incorporated by reference here, so although it points to it, it's still a part of this. That's why we did all these plans together with Imagine Hayden, is so that they would work together and not kind of all flying off in different spots, which is what was happening before Imagine Hayden. As part of the update to the comprehensive plan, we updated this section on the transportation, so it had a whole laundry list of projects that were going to happen in the future, and we finished part of those projects. So that whole section has been redone. We've got a bicycle facilities section in there. We talked about public transportation. We talked about air and the airport as it was discussed in the land use chapter. We talked about the Hutter corridor and the fact that it's still there and they're still working through the process, and it's still part of the possibilities for coming across the prairie. And then one key note is we completed the Ramsey Road project, and that has been opened and people can use it. So it's a pretty cool road. If you haven't been on it, you should try it.
I drove it last week.
Me too.
Chapter 8 talks about economic development, and there's not a lot of, these numbers have changed a little bit, and the chart pie has changed a little bit, but predominantly the sectors that show up are pretty similar to the ones that showed up 5 years ago. What is kind of interesting is this one. So 5 years ago, we had 4,800 folks that came into the city of Hayden and 5,400 that left the city of Hayden, and about 750 that live here and work here. Now we have about 7,100 people who come in to work for Hayden, and we have about 6,000 that leave to go someplace else to work, and we have about 1,000 folks that are here. So those folks that are on the roads going to and from, you've got about 13,000 folks that are either traveling one way or the other, going to and from, that are on our roadways that be nice if they just worked here. So we need more opportunities to both live and work in Hayden. We've got light industrial and commercial development available, land that's available to develop in both those kind of areas. We need to look at small business and try to figure out, that's our goal. We need to figure out how to bring them in. And then we have those special areas of development, the neighborhood commercial areas, as well as the central business district area, as well as that mixed commercial kind of behavior. Those are all opportunities. So as we talk about economic development opportunities, we've got folks that help steer, guide, direct, whatever word you want to use, to various locations, whether they're in the city of Hayden, Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, the area of Kootenai County, and other places. These are all folks and mechanisms that could help bring those small businesses to Hayden. Chapter 9, Parks and Recreation. So again, this is just like the transportation section. Points you right toward the 2040 Hayden Parks Master Plan. Made that a part of this, just like transportation. We updated this section on the existing parks amenities. We finished Crawford Park. We did a big project out there. We've worked on some of the other parks that we've added stuff to since the 5 years ago, like the Frisbee Golf Course out at Broadmoor, as an example. So we updated those amenities in that section. And then we also identified anticipated new parks that are working through various stages of process that are anticipated to come on board in the nearer than longer future. And I always like to show off the fact that we have ADA accessibility where we get it. So, Chapter 10, Local Services. Local services can be, we provide sewer, and we have parks, and we have streets. Those are city. We also have commissions that do a lot of work for the citizens of the city of Hayden. We have the Arts Commission that's working on getting benches up and down Government Way and getting some art on them, and that's been a long, hard process that everybody here that worked on that should give huge kudos to Abby, who's sitting next to our chair, because she's the liaison with the Arts Commission. She's done a phenomenal job kind of making sure we got benches here. So really hard work with Arts Commission, good variety of cool benches, awesome opportunity for Hayden. We have the Historical Preservation Commission that, with any luck at all, is going to have a book out here before the end of the year that talks about the history of the first volume about historical members of the Hayden community. We have the Park, Rec, and Community Forestry group that put on Arbor Day every year. They do a bike activity. They do a variety of really cool park and recreation related activities. Kite Festival. Those are all happening in the spring of the year. Those are the ones I remember because they're kind of all happen one right after the other. Planning and Zoning Commissioners, those are the folks that are sitting here tonight, who diligently put in approximately 2 meetings a month and try to wade through a lot of reports and trying to make sure that all of the land use decisions that come here are following the comprehensive plan. We have a Public Safeties Commission. They are really our kind of our law enforcement folk that really understand how the law enforcement should work, and there's a breadth of knowledge in there that we're very blessed. And then we have the Veterans Commission that does the Veterans Day celebration coming up here in November. they do a lot of really good work too. So those are all people and all members, all volunteer members of the community that come forward and help with each and every one of those commissions that are a really awesome wealth of information for the city as a whole. Then we have other services that are provided by other agencies, but also help our citizenry of Hayden. That's our library. We have public schools. We have private schools as well, but we have public schools. We have the Kootenai County Sheriff. We have 2 fire districts, Kootenai County Fire District and Northern Lakes Fire District. We have utilities provided to us by Avista and Kootenai Electric for power and Avista for gas. We have telephone and fiber providers. There are 4 or 5 of those floating around out there. We have water districts, 4 or 5 of those also. So it's interesting keeping track. And then solid waste with Kootenai County. So far more local services that are out there than folks are aware. Chapter 11, community design. This is the dusk to dawn public art at the public parking lot. And both of these have signs under them that tell you about the dusk to dawn public art. So if you haven't read the signs, you should go out and take a look at what the signs say, because it's a really cool piece of art that the city was able, working with Hayden Urban Renewal, to bring into the city and provide for the citizens. But it's also just a flavor of the design for the city and how the vision and having community forethought into art is so appreciative. So the design standards affect sites. They address special use areas or specific zone designations, and those are all found in city code. Like how far away can you build the building, and how much landscaping are you required to have? Yes, in the central business district, you are required to have a certain amount of landscaping on your site. And how much of that landscaping can be sidewalk, because that's also in there. Or how tall can your light fixtures be, or not? Those are all part of those design standards that we're trying to get that pedestrian feel so that you're not feeling like you're walking around the warehouse district somewhere. Historic Preservation Commission is part of those design standards. We have wayfinding, signage that the staff as well as others are working on, is looking at. You don't want a ton of signs, that's the problem. Too much signs is not a good thing, but a few signs, directional signs pointing in the right place, those aren't bad either. And then landscaping design, you have that everywhere you've got a landscape buffer, and you have it everywhere that you are in the central business district has landscaping design standards as well. So again, it's always trying to emphasize the pedestrian-oriented, human-scale development. And that reinforces this community's unique character and our design cohesiveness. I challenge you not to figure out when you've left another city and come into Hayden based on the design of the sites and the landscaping. So then the appendix. 4 parts to the appendix. Action implementation, the map section, the public process, and the history. So the implementation section, this chart looked weird. I always did say that it was done different. It was like it was an add-on sort of feature or whatever. So we tried to bring this spreadsheet into line with how the policies and the goals looked a little bit. We identified that it's got a short-term, medium-term, long-term, and something that's going onward. You're always going to be working on it. And so the action in this first one, I'm just giving you an example. In this first one, the action is the continuing zone text amendments and an update of the zoning map as needed. So what does that mean? It means that we're looking at potentially adding another zone designation called rural. That would be a zone text amendment. And zone map amendments are when folks come forward and request a zone map amendment. Then that would, if it was approved, the zone map would change. So that's kind of what that's about. So the task is that we would revise the zoning and subdivision codes to address the comprehensive plan land use directives regarding future land uses and amend the code accordingly. Is that gonna happen once or many times? It's gonna happen ongoing, many times. And the lead department that's gonna bring that forward to you is gonna be community development. You're gonna walk through part of those actions and it might say, hey, this action is really a public works action. Or maybe this action is an arts commission action. Or maybe this is a combination of two folks that are working on it, two entities. Then the goals and policy reference, again, there's no action that doesn't point back to a goal or a policy, because it's the goal or policy that we're trying to resolve or solve or follow that is what's driving the action. And then again, the implementation reference, what, is this a land use activity? Is this a hazard mitigation? Is this a, what is this, park and rec? Excuse me. And there are 27 actions that are identified in this table. Covers several pages. Appendix B, maps. So maps are the most visible components of the plan, yet not any more important in guiding future development than the remainder of the plan. So the maps provided in this section are the future land use map, the central business overlay, the critical natural areas. You've already seen 3 of those. Those 3 we've already shown. We have a water district service areas map and an updated school district map. The maps delineating future transportation systems, sewer systems, and the park system are in their respective long-range plans and incorporated in by reference. And the boundaries delineating the types of uses are not finite, but they outline a general area for designated areas within a 300 feet plus or minus. So if you're looking at a piece of property and you got a line that's running through it for the future land use map, and it's got one land use on one side and another land use on the other side, and they said, well, I want it to all be this land use, not this one, then they've got a 300-foot fuzzy line in there to move that line as far as land uses when you're looking at it for a zone designation change in the future. Appendix C, public process. Now, we've talked about the public process like periodically throughout here. So again, citizen engagement in the fall of 2023. Planning and Zoning Commission provided a plethora of avenues prior to their open house in the spring of 2024. And then we put out another questionnaire in 2025 just to make sure we were still on the right track. And all of those results are in Appendix C. And then behind those results are also all of the public input that was a part of the Imagine Hayden in 2020. Because remember, this isn't a rewrite of the whole plan. This is an update to that original plan. And then Appendix D is the history of Hayden. It's kind of Hayden in a nutshell, and then it's got a timeline spreadsheet at the end of that, a timeline table at the back of that. But Hayden is 70 years old. It turns 70 in July of this year, which is very exciting. This is Government Way before the Government Way project. And this is Government Way after the Government Way project. I think we kind of have grown up a little bit from the small village on the lake to a vibrant, healthy, evolving city. So the noticing, you have a public comment that was received as a result of the noticing. It's 2 pages front and back. We have received no additional public comment beyond that public comment. That was in board book, not in your, we didn't hand them out in paper, that's in board book. And so that leaves me to the Planning and Zoning Commission findings and recommendation. You can either recommend approval. You could continue this meeting to some point in the future and make a decision and deliberation at that point, or you can recommend denial, but if you do so, you have to tell us what we need to fix. I stand for questions.
Where can we find the the comments.
That's right. Was it a comment from Art? Was that the only comment we got? Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. You guys have any comments on the comp plan update? Any discussion? No?
No, I think that was very thorough.
Thank you, Donna.
I think that's a good summary of,
Which slide would you like me to leave up for public comments? Do you have any public that wants to comment?
We do not.
Okay, sure?
Nobody wants to comment?
Okay, I'm trying here.
And you have no comment?
I had a question about the 300-foot buffer. Is that a pretty common practice? So that's not something unique here.
Is not. It was in every comprehensive plan up until the very last one.
Okay.
I just added it back in. Mostly because when you're drawing these, you're drawing them at a really high level. I'm not drawing these lines at a parcel line level. To give you a concept of what 300 feet looks like, is if you go down the center line of Hayden Avenue, those lines, the width of that is 300 feet either side of Hayden Avenue.
That orange section?
It is.
Got
So
it.
that orange section is 600, plus or minus.
Yeah.
600 feet. So this is 300 feet up and 300 feet down, plus or minus.
Ah, yes.
I know, I'll get back here, I'll get in trouble.
And then on the surveys that are in here, it talks about Hayden residents and non-Hayden residents. I imagine non-Hayden residents are people that are in the greater Hayden area, just not within the Hayden city limits. Is that?
That could be, and it could also be people who own businesses here but aren't residents of here.
Got it. So this impacts them, but they may not be Hayden residents.
Correct.
Got it.
That could be, still be Hayden taxpayers.
Yeah. Those are my only questions.
Chris, you?
I do not have any questions.
Thank you, Donna. I guess my only comments would be, this has been about a 2-year process as we've gone through this. We had public engagements, we had meetings, we had workshops. Typically, we'd maybe see 10 to 15 people here for these, but as you saw earlier tonight, we did have a lot of people here for a subdivision hearing. We typically do not get people here until it's something in their backyard. So we had to rely quite a bit on the survey, the Hayden survey that we had. And it seemed to be the number one concern of people for that was transportation. That can be somewhat addressed via the comp plan and the future land use map. I think city staff and our codes have done a good job of ensuring that developers pay for traffic improvements based on the impact of their thing and through impact fees. Obviously, there's some areas of the city that are older that are seeing some traffic impacts that we can't really affect because we don't have the tax base for it. But things like the urban renewal district can be utilized to improve those traffic areas. I think what was the other thing is people want to see more single family. We definitely reduced the amount of mixed commercial, I would say, on that map to try and address those concerns. And, the other one that always kind of is intriguing to me is when they say they want the small town feel. I don't think that's something that we can legislate or put into code. But as kind of my soapbox for the night, I would say how you get your small town feel is by being kind to your neighbors, letting people out in traffic. Don't tailgate people because they're going the speed limit and flip them off because you're mad they're going too slow. Stop in the grocery stores and talk to your neighbors, even if they do have a difference of opinion with you, and actually get to know them because you might find you have some common areas of likes and dislikes. But, so I think in the small town feel, that's up to us as the citizens to maintain that small town feel of Hayden. So I think staff has done a great job on this. Thank you to all my fellow commissioners for putting in the time and going through this, and to the public that do show up. Thank you for coming to the meetings. It's typically the same faces in the crowd, but I think we had a good opportunity tonight. Maybe if some people had stayed to watch what we were doing and understand the process that we get to this. It's not done in a vacuum, and so I think it was necessary and well done. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys feel pretty proud with all the work that's gone into this and how it looks now. It's pretty impressive.
It's been a process. We're glad to feel like we're getting close now. So at this point, anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to motion to approve, or I move to recommend approval of the 2045 comprehensive plan update, finding that it is in accord with the standards of Hayden City Code based upon testimony received at the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing and the record of the request.
Second the motion?
Roll call?
Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Recommended approval of the comp plan update to the city council. Donna, I see we have new business for approval of the regular meeting calendar.
I think you have a meeting calendar in front of you.
Yes.
Shannon and I looked at it. It's not really hugely terrible as far as wiping out our Mondays, which is nice.
Looks like January and February, our second Mondays are done.
And September,
Yeah.
our first Monday.
January, February,
We
September.
probably can work around it.
Yeah. It gives us a little flexibility, I guess, for everybody's schedule too, at that time of year, so. You know, I'm chasing my kids around ski hills that time of year, so.
Yes.
Hi.
And we always warn everybody when they come in with a development proposal this time of year that they have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, and they have Christmas, and they have New Year's, they have Martin Luther
President's
King Day, and then they have
President's Day.
President's Day. So I always say it's however it works.
They're all Mondays, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a report for us today?
We need just
You
kind
need
of
a-
a general motion and approval of
Oh,
of
do you
the
need
calendar
approval of the calendar?
if you're not seeing any huge red flags, so if you would recommend it approval or whatever.
I'm usually planned about 3 weeks out, so I don't see any problems.
Yeah, it looks good.
Do we need a motion on that then?
Yes.
Anybody want-
I'll make a motion to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission regular or is that the road consent calendar?
Yep.
Yeah.
The 2026 regular meeting calendar.
Meeting
Yep.
calendar. Meeting calendar.
There you have it.
Yeah, a second.
I will second that.
Can we do an all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We recommend approval of the calendar. Do you have a,
Yeah, so, we will hear we'll bring forward have a written recommendation? Yeah, for comp plan. So we'll have a written recommendation for the comp plan that we'll bring back before you at the meeting on November 3rd.
November 3rd, okay.
And we'll be noticing that for public hearing, before the city council for the comp plan for November 18th.
Okay.
I believe that's their only meeting in November at the moment.
Currently, yeah, we're talking about a special meeting, that's not set yet.
And I will not be at the meeting on was it the 18th or the 17th? Oh, the council's the 18th.
Council meeting
I
is
won't
on
be at
the
the
18th.
17th,
Is on
yeah.
November 18th, yes. Okay. So it's the council meeting on the 17th. So that, currently, the way the calendar is kind of looking, I think we are going to have a workshop kind of conversation about potential code amendments that'll be coming forward. We're trying to, my board is a disaster area at the moment. We're trying to clean that up.
The whiteboard, not the people boards.
Yeah, the whiteboard is a bit of a disaster at the moment. We had kind of been bringing all of the code amendments forward to planning and zoning, but then it became very apparent that there are some code amendments that happen to cities' codes that aren't required to come to planning and zoning for approval. So we're trying to pull those apart
Yeah.
and workshop with council on the council-only stuff, and workshop with planning and zoning on the planning and zoning only, and if we can marry these two together at the end, we'll notice them at the same time, but if not, we'll notice them separately and keep going forward from there. So that's what we're shooting for the 3rd, and then
Or after the comp plan update, or is that in concurrence with it, or does it matter the timing?
doesn't matter the timing as far as the workshop goes. Once the comp plan gets kind of moving, it'll go before city council, and should they approve it, then we'll bring back the rural zone designation and the affected, other sections of code that would be affected if we were to approve that, because there's a substantial amount of them. And then at the second meeting in November, I think we may have 2 public hearings coming forward, potentially.
Okay,
So the first meeting's the 3rd, and the second meeting's the 17th,
yeah, the 17th I'll be out of,
and you're gone for
Oh, yeah,
that.
I'm gone the 3rd, but I can zoom in, I'm sure,
Okay.
so.
And then just so you're aware, on the council agenda for the 28th, there are 2 potential appointees to the Planning and Zoning Commission being heard by council that night. So
Great.
if they get appointed, then their first meeting will be the November 3rd workshop. It'll be a good one to kind of.
Dive in.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for, before we land in a public hearing.
all right. That sounds good. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned. All right. Yeah.